Hello my 420 Spot family. In the news today, facilitated psilocybin sessions could be legalized with Washington state ballot initiative. Psilocybin, a main component of psychedelic mushrooms, is set to become legal through a Washington state ballot initiative, as long as trained facilitators are present. Upon completing a screening process designed to minimize negative side effects, adults 21 and older can participate. The proposal was filed by the Political Action Committee ADAPT-WA a month ago. It is now being worked on to collect signatures and funds to qualify the measure for the November ballot. By passing the legislation, the group said it could establish safe, equitable, and legally sanctioned access to psilocybin services. Advocates describe the policy change as a way to provide better mental health treatment options, even if individuals do not need to be diagnosed with any specific conditions in order to use psilocybin. Psilocybin has recently been shown to be an effective treatment of depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. ADAPT-WA board member Leonore Russell said in a release that, as a licensed mental health therapist, chemical dependency specialist, and social worker on the front lines of our mental health and chemical dependency epidemic, she has seen the failed systems up close and their impact on our most vulnerable people. People on both sides of the aisle support psilocybin as a natural treatment option. The initiative, Initiative 1886, is broadly similar to a supported psilocybin services bill introduced by Washington State Senators Jesse Salomon and Liz Lovelett at the beginning of the year. Despite this, the measure, which was based largely on the Oregon therapeutic psilocybin law passed by voters in 2020, failed to advance out of committee. This new initiative would be overseen by the State Department of Health. Over an 18-month period, the department would develop rules and training requirements for facilitators as well as the regulatory framework for psilocybin producers, distributors, testing laboratories, and clinics. A committee comprised of political appointees and subject experts would advise the health department on psilocybin research, how the psychedelic should be administered in a clinical setting, necessary information for safety screenings, dosage amounts, and other issues. During this period of rulemaking, clinics likely wouldn't open until late 2024 at the earliest. The advisory board would meet by March of next year, issue a public report by June of next year, and adopt rules for the new program by July 4, 2024. Under the law, the state must begin accepting license applications by July 10, 2024. The measure allows the state to tax psilocybin products, although municipalities could not add additional local taxes. According to Russell, an attorney with ADAPT-WA, who filed the prospective amendment, it is similar to Measure 109, the therapeutic psilocybin law in Oregon. Russell noted that Washington's law allows sublingual psilocybin products. Spokane attorney Pat Donahue said the new ballot plan and Washington lawmakers' facilitated use bill, SB 5660, have two major differences. The initiative will have two categories of facilitators, rather than just one: community facilitators and medical-specific facilitators. It also opens up the new psilocybin industry to a broader range of people with felony convictions. Education requirements for facilitators would be different for the two classes. A high school diploma or equivalent would be all that is needed for community facilitators, but medical licenses would be required for physicians, physician assistants, nurse anesthetists and other healthcare providers to administer psilocybin outside of clinics. The recent surge in American willingness to explore alternatives to prohibition and the failed war on drugs excites me greatly, Donahue said in an email. Especially now, it is important for individual states to work hard to develop robust legal frameworks that allow access to molecules like psilocybin, which are demonstrably safe. Donahue pointed out that this November marks the 10-year anniversary of voters legalizing cannabis in Washington and Colorado, but federal authorities still consider cannabis a controlled substance. Our recent history demonstrates we cannot wait for federal government actions to trickle down, he said. It is safe to take psilocybin. There has been study after study showing that psilocybin is helpful for our suffering brothers and sisters. Washington will vote on another ballot measure in November, sponsored by the advocacy group Commit to Change WA, which would decriminalize possession of small amounts of any drug and pour nearly $150 million into outreach and long-term recovery programs for people with substance abuse disorders. Voters in Oregon decriminalized all drugs in 2020. According to both campaigns, Washington has historically neglected the treatment of substance use disorders, especially early outreach and long-term recovery. This has led to a lack of services for those in need. In terms of mental health indicators generally, ADAPT-WA finds that Washington ranks as one of the best states for mental illness. The campaign also points out that the state ranks among the lowest in terms of psychiatric bed availability. To build support for the campaign, ADAPT has held fundraisers in Seattle, Spokane, and Olympia. State campaign finance records show ADAPT has raised and spent roughly half its $6,600 for facilitated psilocybin thus far. The all-drug decriminalization proposal from Commit to Change WA, which has ties to the ACLU of Washington, has raised more than $880,000. Washington's Supreme Court overturned its felony drug law completely last year, leaving lawmakers scrambling to replace it. Finally, they approved a modest reform, reducing the state's felony charge for drug possession to a misdemeanor and allocating more money for treatment. In an effort to encourage lawmakers to rethink the policy, the criminal penalties for the law will expire in 2023. Advocates viewed the law, which became effective in May, as a half-step toward meaningful reform. Legislators were urged to invest further in outreach and recovery and dismantle the criminal drug war. The Seattle City Council recently decriminalized psychedelics at the municipal level, becoming the largest U.S. city to do so. Thank you for watching this video by My 420 Spot. Support our veterans at rapidmentalhealingforveterans.org.